Do you want to make your own podcast? Spotify has a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. And this is the platform that I use because it makes it so simple to record and distribute your podcast all in one place using your cell phone. What you need to do is download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Hello, my name is Catherine Moore, social worker, mom, coffee lover, and founder of Social Workers Rise, where we inspire social workers to connect, expand their knowledge, and change more lives than they ever thought possible. I'm so excited you found my podcast. We will talk everything social work on every level from micro to macro. We will hear the stories of social workers who are doing big things, learn new skills, and most importantly, give you actionable steps to make a difference today. Let's go. Hello. Welcome to the season finale episode of Social Workers Rise. So at the end of the last episode, I let you guys know that the first season is coming to an end, and oh my goodness, it has been a doozy. I've had so much fun. I've talked to so many amazing social workers. If memory serves me right, there's probably at least 20. Is there 20 social workers? There's like 24 episodes of the season. Most of them I have been talking to other social workers who are killing it in the field. So many different areas of social work that we got into, that we explored, and I've had so much fun. My next project. So the podcast is not over. Do not worry, my friends. The podcast is not over. It's just the season is ending and we are taking a summer vacay because summer is my absolute favorite season. And we are going to be planning for the fall season, which I'm already putting my feelers out and getting some ideas for people who I really want to talk to. So if you have ideas or topics or people that you want to hear, let me know. Slide up in the DMs. Let me know what you think. So my summer is going to be focused on, it's still going to be busy. It's still going to be busy. I am dedicating all of my energies to the Essentials for Future Therapist. It is the 5-course virtual series that is on sale right now until July 8th. And essentially it's 5 courses that lead you through the entire therapeutic process. It is exactly everything that I wish I would have had as a new social worker, as a new social work grad. So I'm collaborating with my colleague, Leslie Rodriguez, because she is such a badass at therapy. She has so many amazing tips and insights into populations that I don't have. So together, we're just the perfect match. We cover the entire spectrum. She has done so much amazing work with families, children, severely mentally ill, personality disorders, all of the things, all of the people that are a little like more than what I'm used to. I call Leslie. She is my girl that I call. I'm like, Leslie, what in the world do I do? WTF, Leslie, what do I do? Please help me. So that is why I teamed up with her, because she's amazing. So there's going to be all sorts of really cool tools and cheat sheets in the course that I wish I would have had. And I'm just trying to make this a little bit easier for everybody, for our new generation of social workers, because it's hard, you guys. It's hard out there, and it doesn't have to be so hard. We're trained in supporting other people, so it's time that we support each other, and that's exactly what I'm doing with this course. And it's not just the modules. So the modules are really awesome because Leslie and I talk back and forth. We are teaching on all of the topics that get you through the entire therapeutic process. So everything from assessment, care planning, documentation, therapy modalities, the clinical skills, the cognitive behavioral therapy, and termination. So it's very, very powerful, especially if you are starting out and you just need a little bit more insight into the therapeutic process, things that are not covered in grad school. So we're not going to regurgitate your MSW to you, but we're really just going to focus in on those areas. In addition to that, and I think the most powerful part of this, and the part that I'm very excited for, is the Facebook Live group. So in addition to the modules, every week we're going to walk through a different module with everyone in the private group. And this will be the time where people can ask questions, get clarification, get more personalized answers to those burning questions that we've been wondering, and also to just learn more about the topic in general and learn from our peers too, which is going to be really powerful, and I'm very excited for it. So that is going to take up the majority of my next month and into early August. And then I will be enjoying my summer, spending time with the family, still working full time, and planning for the fall podcast, and just going from there, just taking it, day by day. So that's what I have on the agenda. And for this week, for the season finale, we are talking about imposter syndrome, which ironically I didn't hear about until this year. I don't know why it's taken me so long to hear about imposter syndrome, but I've just started hearing about it, and it's amazing and fascinating because we all suffer from it. I don't know if we suffer, but some do better than others. But imposter syndrome impacts, hopefully it doesn't affect you, impacts us all on different levels. And I'm really excited to talk to Harleny because imposter syndrome is her jam, and this is what she is so amazing at overcoming. So I'm really excited for this episode, for us to just dive in, get to know Harleny a little bit better, and I will see you next season. For now, listen to the podcast, and then find me on Instagram at Social Workers Rise. If you wanted to register for the Essentials for Future Therapists, then the link is in my Instagram account. You can find it there. And I will talk to you later. Let's hop into the episode. Hello, Harleny.
Hi, Catherine.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am really, really good. I'm be here talking with you today because you were just killing it. And we have never actually met in person. We've only met online and talked on the phone and collaborated a little bit, and there's more to come, but I'm excited to have you on my podcast. Finally, I feel like it's overdue.
I know. I feel like I know you. It's crazy. I know we've been talking for so long, but thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm so excited.
Yes, me too. So I really, tell me your story about why you got into social work, or how did you know that social work is what you wanted to do?
Oof, where do I even start? So I think going back to my childhood and my upbringing, I was someone who was raised by a single mother. I grew up in low income. So you can only imagine the lack of resources that I had while growing up and the resources that I had in the community. I was always around social workers. And for some reason, I knew that I wanted to be in a field that gave families opportunities to thrive within this broken system. I knew that I wanted to be a resource and an advocate for them. That's the reason why it brought me to the world of psychology, which it then led to me getting my bachelor's in psychology. And then once I was able to learn of the field of social work, that was a whole new other door, a whole new other world, exactly. And I was amazed of the community that it brought once I was in that field.
I love that. And where do you live? I think that provides a lot of context too.
Yeah, so I'm in New York. I was born and raised in close to Washington Heights. And yeah, it's definitely, Hispanic, mainly Hispanic community, um, and Black community as well. And basically, it's a community that even to this day, you have to uplift and empower one another to succeed. It's a community that everyone comes together at the end of the day. And it's important to never really lose sight of where you come from.
Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome. So you got into social work and you love the community and all these things. What kind of social work have you done? What's your experience like?
So I feel like I worked everywhere. I primarily have worked in the field of child welfare for about 4 years, but I worked with basically from infant all the way to the elderly population. I have worked, like I mentioned before, child welfare. I have worked within the shelter system, even a little bit of research and substance abuse population, and even a little bit of palliative care as well. So I've literally done a little bit of everything, and I've learned and embraced the lesson in every opportunity that I have obtained.
That's awesome.
Very, very rewarding.
Yeah, and I feel like even though all of those different areas are so different, there's probably ways that they overlap that you can use the skills from one area to another because, children and families and seniors, they're everywhere. And that's everybody who we work with. But it seems like you'd be able to take the skills that you use, like from child welfare, for example, over to even palliative care. Is that right? Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, child welfare has definitely taught me a lot in regards to, different personalities and different backgrounds and how to handle, hand on specific conflict with the families that you encounter. And because you can only imagine in palliative care, due to the other challenges that are faced with the clients and based on their terminal illness, I feel that those specific interventions that I learned, I was able to carry them on to palliative care because it taught me to, besides being, empathetic and sympathetic, but it taught me a lot of patience. It taught me a lot of, how nurturing to be and how to, at the end of the day, always keep the client's best interest at heart.
For sure. And vice versa with, addictions too. Like, all of these things are just they're different, but yet they have so many different similarities. I think that's really cool. And that's what I really love about social work is that we have so many skills that we can use in so many different ways. And it makes us so marketable, when we're looking for a job.
Absolutely. And it really like I always tell people it doesn't matter. People think that social work is only direct practice. And of course, there's macro social work and all those things. But social work is really what you make it. No matter what type of role and type of environment is what you have to bring to the table, which is definitely as you and I can definitely agree is what we try to empower social workers within the community to really use their skills to the best of their advantage and to really make sure they thrive in any environment that they're in. Even if they feel that they cannot be their very best, is recognizing their strengths and areas of improvement. I feel like that is definitely like crucial. Which of course, given the circumstances in a very toxic work environment, you can easily lose that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I'm just wondering, like, how did you not lose it, and then how did you have the confidence to be able to do all of these different roles? Can you talk a little bit about that? And did you have any, imposter syndrome with that?
Oh, absolutely. So I guess going back to when I first started in the field, I definitely dealt with a lot of imposter syndrome. And for those who don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's kind of that sense of feeling like you're a fraud, like you're never going to be good enough. And I felt that when starting in the field, I will always compare myself to other social workers and seeing like, oh, wow, look, they have their license and, they're working their dream job. I'm never going to be like them. Or I'm never going to, get a supervisor job, or I'm going to stay, in child welfare forever. And I always had these thoughts in my mind. And honestly, what made me keep pushing is, honestly, I would say my mom, because everything that she made me, the person that I am today is because of her. And I feel that because of what she went through and how she raised me, I felt like I needed to keep pushing and moving forward, especially being, first generation Latina to get her master's degree. I felt that I owed something to myself and to her. And I felt like no matter the obstacles and the challenges that I faced within the social work, I had to keep pushing. I had to see myself in position I never thought possible. And I had to have an end goal. Even though it was very hard, even though I had moments where I was extremely burned out to the point that I've had panic attacks, extremely, extremely just done. I no matter at the I always saw, you know, like a shining light at the end of the tunnel. I was like, okay, no matter how bad it is right now, this is not where it ends for me. I know I need to keep pushing because it's going to get better. Which actually it did, because I then landed a supervisor role without any experience, all because I overcame those feelings of imposter syndrome. And unfortunately, imposter syndrome never goes away. I still have my moments, but it's just awareness is key, and of still having that shining light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, yes, for sure. I love that your motivation and your overall drive to keep going was your why, which was your mom. And
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like she was just such an instrumental part of your life and who you are and your determination and your grit and your resiliency, that it just kept you going. And I think that's awesome. So, even though you had your degree, you had these experiences, like what do you think it was that made you feel sometimes inferior to other social workers?
Well, I would say it's just because, the field of social work, unfortunately, is a field that, it has to do with a position of power where you are as a social worker, whether it's credentials or, a certain amount of experience in the fields. You just look around, like where everyone stands in their career, or you see that someone you graduated, has obtained X, Y, and Z job or role or credential. And it's always just yourself and kind of like, oh, I don't have that, or I'm never gonna get to where they need to be. So it's just really something that, of course, is human nature. We can't help it. Especially on social media, it's no matter where you go, there was gonna be some level of feeling like you need to compete, even though you shouldn't. But it just naturally comes out of you. If that makes sense.
Yes, yes. I've just learned, like, it took me a long time to learn this, but over the years, I've learned to reframe that for myself and say, well, so and so, they're killing it out there. They're doing awesome. I wish I could do that, or I could never do that. But I reframed it to say, what did they do, or what did they know, or how did they do that? Was there someone that they knew? Is there someone that I could talk to? Is there somewhere I could go to learn these skills and do exactly what they did? Because if they did it, there's a way that I could do it too.
Absolutely. And really, like, imposter syndrome kicks in the sense of that, at the end of the day, it's really a cycle within. In the
Mm-hmm.
sense of that, it first starts with a thought like, okay, I'm never going to be a successful social worker. And then the limiting belief kicks in and saying, like, I don't have enough experience to be a successful social worker. And then that self-sabotaging behavior kicks in of like, oh, you know what? I can't take that promotion job. I don't have experience, or I can't get my license. I haven't studied. So at the end of the day, it starts with a thought. The limiting beliefs kicks in, and then that self-saboting behavior. Oh my God, I can't even talk today. Kicks in, and then the cycle will continue, and that's the reason why most social workers get stuck, regardless if they're a new graduate, regardless if they've been in the field for a long time. When you're dealing with those feelings of imposter syndrome, and you currently you're going to keep procrastinating on important things, right? On those things that you're like, you know what, I'm just going to keep studying until I feel prepared to get my license, or I'm going to keep taking certifications until I feel prepared enough to seek that, career advancement in my specific career, in my role. But honestly, all those specific feelings of I need to obtain more information, it's just that feeling that no matter what I do, I'm never going to be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh
are
my
your
gosh.
you are your biggest inner critic, no matter what.
So true. I feel like you just read my diary. Like,
It's
because I
hard.
I stayed with hospice for 4 years, and a lot of that, one, I loved it, but two, I I had this story that I kept telling myself, like, oh, I've only, a quote only, I've only been doing one job, like I only have this experience, but once I get my license, then that will be the time I can shine. And I got my license, and I didn't feel any different. I didn't feel like I was shining. and and then I just hit rock bottom. I like got burnt out, and I knew, I was like, well, I gotta change. I have my license. This qualifies me, quote qualifies me to do that. But I ended up getting a job that I didn't even need my license for,
Mm-hmm.
which, it was a better job, and it was in a slightly different field. But I don't know, there was some weird, like, now I qualify myself to do this when I could have done it a year earlier and been making that much more money for the entire, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's that feeling of like, you need to validate yourself within in order to achieve X, Y, and Z. You know how many times in the past I don't have my license at this time, even though I am going to get it one day, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But you know how many opportunities I have obtained, and the credential, the specific job description said you needed, certain credential and certain experience, and they still called me. At the end of the day, it's really how you market yourself and how you show the type of value and impact. Oh my God, like income, the type of impact that you have to bring to the organization. And that's something that unfortunately was not taught in social work school. And now that's why I'm very passionate about, why I do what I do, because it's something that, like I mentioned, imposter syndrome never goes away. And I even tell, my clients or my peers now is the way to really help you overcome those feelings of imposter syndrome when you feel it is to, of course, find out exactly, the limiting beliefs that's coming up for you. If it's that you feel that you're never gonna, be a successful social worker, it's really challenge that. I mean, I know everyone hates journaling, but it really comes a long way, because when you see it on paper, you're gonna be able to change your thoughts right there. You're gonna be able to say out loud, okay, why? Let me list the reasons why I think that I will never be successful, and you'll be surprised of what comes about. You know.
Yeah, that's so powerful. So, yeah, what can you talk a little bit of, you mentioned your clients, what kind of clients do you have, and what do you do? How do you help people?
Absolutely, I should have mentioned that. So besides being a social work supervisor at this time, my true passion, which is being a career coach for early stage social workers to help them overcome imposter syndrome, teach them all the tools they need to market and position themselves effectively to be able to negotiate salaries, secure their next opportunity with pure confidence. And I feel that that is something that's definitely needed in this field, because, us social workers, we got to help each other out. I mean, we definitely give our heart and soul to our clients, but who's going to do the same for us? And I feel like, just like you and I, we have to be each other's advocates for our community of social workers. We have to empower and uplift them, because, somebody, they need a leader too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Sure. I love that. And yeah, I love that. I about it because I know I can personally relate. In my early stage of being a social worker, I even like, I always felt like I didn't really belong, or I questioned, was I doing it right? And even in my job, or with every client that I met, And I still get imposter syndrome, even though I'm licensed, even though I've been doing social work for 10 years. I'm always asking myself, do I belong here? Who am I to say this or to help these people? But then I have to recircle back around and remember where I come from and remember that I have the skills, and we all as social workers have the skills to figure it out. We don't know the answers. Times are always changing, but we have problem solving skills. We're going to figure it out. We're
I,
going to get.
Absolutely. And like it comes from that feeling of self-worth. I always, I'm someone that for a long time I did struggle, with self-love, and just I really doubted all of my ability, kind of like more of the imposter syndrome, but also like just self-esteem. And I felt like all of that I had to overcome to really be the person that I am right now, and the person that, I aim to be. And it really comes down to how you view yourself and how you want others to view you, because the moment you lose that sight of like who you are as a person, then everything, down the drain.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Sometimes I have to remind myself I am a badass.
You are a badass, and it's important to recognize that, to say that if you're having a good day, say it out loud. If you're having a bad day, acknowledge that. Don't try to fake it either. You're having a bad day, then you'll be like, okay, why am I feeling like this right now? Why am I thinking this? It's really, I like to do a certain activity with my clients, and something I do for myself every day is, I write down my thoughts, and then I write down why I have those thoughts. And if I continue to have those thoughts, what type of feelings and actions will I have for that day? So if I see that they're not, positive, then I reframe that and I change that into a positive, action. So for example, could be that, I woke up saying, oh, I'm not gonna have a good day. Then I'm gonna say, why do I think that I'm not gonna have a good day? Is it because I have a crazy schedule? Is it because, work is stressful? Just anything specific. I write it down, because once you write it on paper, it becomes so real. And then you kind of get it out of your head, And the best part, which is, I don't know if you heard this, is gonna sound funny, but something I do to myself and I tell my clients too is to name your imposter syndrome, because it's really not you, and it's gonna give you that power to separate, what you're feeling within. So my imposter syndrome name is Jenny. So every time that, it starts acting up, I'm like, Jenny, like stop. Like why are you doing this? Like this is like, why are you coming out right now?
I like that because then it separates it, and like Jenny is not you.
Mm-hmm.
Just a hater trying to bring you down.
Yeah, and you see how powerful that is. Trust me. At first, someone told me to do that, and I started doing it. And I'm like, you know what? This is so powerful. Like the world needs to know this, like specific technique, and it works and it helps me, because I know that when I start coming from this like place of like, not feeling secure and just doubting myself, I point Jenny out. And I'm like, what's like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you acting like this? So it's kind of like just giving me power and that authority within, to know that, Harleny, this is not you. You are, meant for so much more, and you hold all the power, and that you're in control.
Yes, yes. I love that. Love that. Do you have anything else? Any other tips or stories or tools that you like to share?
I mean, in regards to a recap, because I know I said a lot, I would really say is to, if you currently find yourself not being, the person that you're meant to be, in the sense of like, if for a long time you wanted to seek that manager role, but every time you always held back, you need to ask yourself, why are you holding yourself back? You need to recognize and bring that awareness that you are able to accomplish anything you set your mind to. And to know that, if kind of change those beliefs, those negative limiting beliefs that you have about yourself, really reframe that into a positive light, and really set a timeline and deadlines, for yourself. So if you're like, okay, by next year I want to accomplish, obtain that supervisor role, then write the next steps that you need to do to achieve that goal. Hold yourself accountable, and really just say your biggest fears out loud to yourself. It can be in front of the mirror. But when you say your biggest fears, again, it becomes real. And when you hear yourself, whether you could record it on your phone for you, you're going to be surprised how that's going to make you feel. You're going to be like, well, I think that about myself. Like, that's crazy. Why would I think about that? Why would I think that about myself? That's just absurd. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's powerful.
Yeah, and we wouldn't say that to our best friend or to someone else in the same situation. Yeah, that is really powerful. So I have been vigorously taking notes over here. So so some things, about some things that social workers can do right now to help overcome the, their own imposter syndrome, or at least manage it, because you know
Yes, manage it because it never goes away.
exactly, no matter how much, like, I guarantee, you know everybody has imposter syndrome, like professional athletes, Michael Phelps, Brene Brown.
The
I
list goes on 100%. The biggest people that you're like, wow, for real?
Yep, yep.
Everybody goes through it.
I think Brene Brown even spoke about her imposter syndrome, if I recall correctly, how she spoke about how she was about to speak to a bunch of professionals, and she did not feel like she was qualified to be talking to these professionals about her vulnerability. And yeah, I just remember hearing her talk on that. Did you ever hear that?
No, I haven't. But now that you're telling me, I'm about to go on my phone and look it up because now I want to hear it.
Yeah, I wish I remembered what it was, or where she was, but she was, yeah, something. She couldn't even talk on vulnerability, and she was like, how am I going to talk about to all these men in suits about vulnerability? But then, of course, it was successful because she's awesome.
Absolutely.
And the courage, she talks a lot about courage. But yeah, if you find it, let me know and send it to me, and I'll include it in the show.
Yay! No, I'll definitely find it. I'm gonna search it after we're done.
Okay, so sorry. So things that people can do. So one is name the imposter
Mm,
syndrome.
About that.
Change your change your negative self beliefs. Uh,
Yes, and reframe them into the positive light.
yes, reframe them in a positive. Set goals and timelines for your goals. And I think it'd be safe to say set a plan.
Yes.
Create a plan. Say your biggest fears out loud.
Yes, to yourself or record it anyway. Write it down, record it, but say your biggest fears out loud.
And then, yes, and write them down. And yeah, that's a lot of power. I hope I didn't miss anything.
No, you got them all right. And trust me, they may seem like, oh, but it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be challenging because you're gonna realize things about yourself that you may not realize. You're basically calling yourself out, but in a
Mm-hmm.
good way. In a good way, because at the end of the day, all you can do is just learn and grow from here, and not hold yourself back.
Mm-hmm. I like that. So if someone's listening right now and they feel like this is something that they really, really struggle with, and they're really dedicated to make a change, are you able to help them with that? Are you accepting new clients right now?
Actually, I am. And I work with, social workers just in case we have some, people who are not social workers. I only work with early stage social workers at this time. I currently do have a few spots open for one-on-one coaching with me. But I know the doors will be closing soon once the summer continues. But yeah, if you're currently interested, I am on LinkedIn by my name, Harleny Vasquez. And I am on Instagram by my Insta name, Your Evolved Mind.
Awesome.
Yay!
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much, Harleny, for meeting with, well, not really meeting with me, but
It's like meeting. We're like, I feel like I know you for years anyway.
I'm gonna come over to Brooklyn and we're gonna go out and have some drinks once this is all over.
Oh my God, yes, yes, for sure.
So, well, thank you so much. It was amazing having you on Social
Thank
Workers.
you so much for having me. And I hope everyone found this helpful. If you ever have, guys, if you have any questions or you want to chat, my DMs are always open. I want the best for everyone.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. You take care.
Bye.